How's it going, guys? I hope everyone had a great weekend. We are officially starting the fourth quarter today. All right. And we are going to basically be finishing up 9.4's lesson. All right. So 9.4 was where we talked about the quadratic formula. And we never got to this simple topic that we're going to talk about today. It's going to be a pretty brief lesson. Okay. Because we're just going to basically be doing one example from the end of 9.4. All right. So first thing I want us to do, get a notebook out, pencil, calculator. Let's write down our learning target. Our learning target is going to be this sentence right here, except you're going to put that I can use the discriminant to determine the number of real solutions of a quadratic equation. So I can use the discriminant to determine the number of real solutions of a quadratic equation. All right. So again, the discriminant is a portion of the quadratic formula. If we look up here, it says the expression of b squared minus 4ac. So what you guys should be noticing is b squared minus 4ac. That's what's underneath the square root symbol in the quadratic formula is called the discriminant. Okay, so when we talk about the discriminant, we are talking about this portion of b squared minus 4ac underneath the square root symbol. All right, so we're going to use just that portion of the formula to determine how many solutions an equation has. Okay, and we're going to talk about how to do that. So real quick, I know we look at like this thing, this real solutions thing. We're like, what does that even mean? So it says in the study tip here that the solutions of a quadratic equation may be real numbers or they could be imaginary numbers. Okay, imaginary numbers are something we're going to study in a future course. So let's not worry about them right now. But just kind of know that's what we mean when we say like real solutions. There are such thing as imaginary numbers. Okay, that we're going to talk about later. But as of right now, let's actually keep the highlighter here. Let's take a look at what we're talking about here. All right, so interpreting the discriminant. If b squared minus 4ac, if we do that math, that should be underneath the square root symbol, and that math comes out to be a positive number, a number greater than 0, that tells us these two things. That this equation that we have is going to have two solutions. All right, and it should have two x-intercepts, because remember, when we're finding solutions, that's what we're finding. We're finding the x-intercepts of the graph. Okay, now if we take this, if we do this math and it comes out to be a 0, okay, that means there's only one solution, because the square root of 0 is 0. There's no such thing as a negative 0, so that's why there's only one solution. And finally, if we do the math and it's a number that's negative, less than 0, there's no solution. All right, so this is just helping you to interpret the fact that when we use the quadratic formula, when we do this math first, it determines how many solutions there are in the equation right away. Okay, so if this comes out to be a negative, we can kind of stop. We don't have to solve because we can't. All right, so let's take a look at an example quick. And again, this is a pretty simple concept because you guys already did a lot with the quadratic formula. So let's look at example 4. All right, and it says to determine the number of real solutions of this equation. Okay, so we're going to use the discriminant to do that. All right, if we use the discriminant, we can determine the number of solutions. So we're going to plug in the numbers accordingly. We are simply using this portion of the quadratic formula. Okay, and we're just going to see if it comes out to be a positive number, if it comes out to be 0, or if it comes out to be a negative number. And that's going to tell us how many solutions we have. All right, so they plugged in the numbers accordingly. All right, and they're going to do the math here. So 8 squared gives us 64. The 4 times the 1 times the negative 3 becomes plus 12. That's going to give us a positive number. And at this point, we're simply going to say, since the discriminant is greater than 0, this equation will have two solutions. Okay, that's all we're doing. We're determining how many solutions we would have. All right, so for problem B, here's what I see here. I see that it's not in standard form right now, so I'm going to have to move my 6x to the other side by subtracting it, and I'm going to put it right in the middle. Okay, put it in standard form. So that's what they do here, write the equation in standard form. All right, and then again, we're only using this portion of the quadratic formula, plugging in the numbers accordingly. Negative 6 squared, that's 36. And then the minus 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 7, 56. So when we subtract 36 minus 56, we end up with a negative number. And again, remember, this is underneath the square root symbol. So we can't take the square root of a negative number. So that means the discriminant is less than 0, so the equation has no solution. Okay? Honestly, guys, it's as simple as that. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you try these. All right, I'm going to have you try just these 3 problems real quick. So I'm going to have you pause your video, and when you come back, your answers will be up. Okay, so here's one we didn't really talk about yet, but when we take these numbers, all right, so -1 is A, 4 is B, and -4 is C, we put those into the B squared minus 4AC, we end up coming out with 0, right? So when we come out with 0, that tells us there's really only one solution to the equation, okay? So number 8 is one solution. Number 9, we have to add this 1 over here, okay, and put it at the end, put it in standard form first. When we did the math, it comes out to be a negative number, so that means there's 0 solutions. There is no solution, all right? And number 10, we can kind of do this however we want. Probably just subtract the 1/2 x squared to the other side and put it in standard form, but this one ends up coming out to be a positive number, so there are 2 solutions, okay? So again, the lesson's as simple as that, or the method I wanted to look at today. So using the discriminant is as simple as that. We're just plugging in the numbers to b squared minus 4ac and seeing if it comes out to be a positive, if it comes out to be 0, or if it comes out to be a negative, and that determines our amount of solutions for each equation, okay? That is what you're going to do in this IXL assignment today. So this is your assignment today. We're just going to move on to IXL. We're just going to do it's BB.12 that we're going to work on, and then we can move on tomorrow, okay? So again, right now we're going to go to BB.12, and we are going to complete that as our assignment today. As always, I will be in the discussion thread on Canvas if you have any questions, or you can always email me, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.